If you've watched my videos before, you know we've spoken a lot about pitching, from building relationships to brands you ultimately want to work with to exactly what to say in a pitch email. But one question I've been hearing a lot lately is, when exactly should I be reaching out to maximize my chances of getting a reply from a brand? And it really got me thinking about how there are good times and bad times to pitch brand partners. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. I've been a creator for over a decade, and I've worked with brands like Walmart, Dove, and Adobe, so I know how to get a good pitch noticed. And I've created a brand new free mini guide for you all called Before You Pitch that actually pairs perfectly with this video, kind of like a good wine and cheese combination. So be sure to download your copy of that free resource from the link down below in the description box so you can refer back to it. Let's start by discussing some good times to pitch brands. At the top of this list is to pitch a brand right after you have recently posted about them. So if you've recently created organic content on any of your social media platforms featuring a brand that you ultimately want to pitch, don't be afraid to send it to them. If there's one big networking lesson I've learned in my time as a creator, it's people appreciate it so much when you use their products or give them shout outs simply because you love them and not just because you're being paid to do so. If you're a beauty content creator, for example, and you created a video about, let's say, the Rare Beauty blush, and you would have created that video regardless of if Rare Beauty ever chooses to work with you on a paid basis, that is a sign that you genuinely love the product and the brand. So whenever you're creating organic content featuring brands that you would love to work with, sending it to them is a great way to say, hey, you're on my radar, here's what I can do with your product, here's an example of what a piece of content that I could create for you guys on a paid basis would look like. If they respond and say, oh my gosh, this is great, thank you so much for featuring us, that could be a great opportunity to ask for the next thing that you want, to pitch them and say, I would love to attend the big event I know you do in Los Angeles every year, or I would love to get added to your PR list to receive more products and create more content like this. Or in an ideal world, hey, I have a great idea for a partnership that we could do together. Are you guys currently working with influencers this quarter? That one sets you up to potentially have the conversation where you might get paid to create content for them later on. And if they love your content, an even faster path to getting paid could be for you to offer them the option to license that content to use in paid ads for their channel. I don't know if we've spoken about licensing in a minute here, so what I mean by that is if you've already created this piece of organic content on your page and the brand wants to run it as an ad on their page, that is a great way for them to use user-generated content to spread awareness about their brand and their product, to get it out there, and for you to get compensated for your work without any of the logistics and the requirements of a sponsored post. If you truly love the product and they truly love your video, ask them if they want to use it in paid ads. And if you need help with pricing, I will leave my pricing guide down below as well. This way, if they say yes, you get paid by the brand for something that you created that was your own original idea, and they get to use your content in paid ads, and they have to create one fewer asset to use in paid ads. So it's honestly a win-win. Another great time to reach out to brands is following events that you've attended with that brand. If you have recently attended a brand event, that is a fantastic time to reach out because that means you have just gotten FaceTime with the people who work for the brand and you have just attended an event and gotten to hopefully try a new launch or learn more about their products or just become more ingrained in the community of content creators that that brand is interested in potentially working with. I feel like events are a sign that a brand would want to work with you in the future because it's especially a great place to network and get to know each other better. So that's why when you attend an influencer event, I always recommend getting there early, seeking out the person who actually sent you the invitation email, assuming that they're on site for the event, and introducing yourself, saying thank you, asking questions, and making a great impression. If the person who sent you the email is not at the event, you can ask around and say, oh, do you work with this brand? Like, if so, hi, I'm Austen, I'm a content creator, I do mainly beauty and fashion, nice to meet you. this space is so beautiful, the new product, you get the idea. Getting FaceTime with the key decision makers who work for these brands is so important. So if you make a great impression and say something memorable, and especially if you thank them the next day, that could be a great opportunity for you to test the waters for a pitch and feel out what they might be thinking in terms of continuing the relationship with you going forward. Also, if you've posted any content at the event, if you posted Instagram stories while you were there, or even better, if you created a vlog or blog post about the event, that is something that you should definitely send to them to let them know that you were posting about them, that you were sharing their products, and it would be even better to include any qualitative feedback from your audience. So I mean like comments or DMs. Oh my gosh, I love this brand. I'm so obsessed with them. What do you think of their new product? And use any of that qualitative audience data to say to a brand, hey, my audience can't stop asking me about the lip gloss. Like, I would actually love to do a partnership together where I feature that product. Would you guys be interested in talking about that? If you want to learn how to get invited to more events as an influencer, I have a whole video where I talk about that I will link down below, so you can watch it after you watch this one. Another great time to pitch brands is ahead of any big sales that they might be having. Whenever brands have sales, they obviously want to increase their marketing around those sales, push people over to their website, get them interested in their products, and make money from having some kind of promotion or discount. So this just requires a little bit more planning, because unlike the other two where either you knew you were posting or you knew you were getting invited to the event, you need to do a bit of research to see a couple of different types of sales that are going on out in the world at large. Knowing the calendar for these major sales and when brands are looking for an extra marketing push will give you a big leg up when you're pitching, because it shows that you're paying attention to not just that brand, but also the world of commerce as a whole and how that whole ecosystem works. So there are two different main types of sales, if you ask me. There are obviously major national holidays here in the United States. I'm talking about things like MLK, President's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and of course the holiday season and all of the holidays that are batched together within the last 3 months of the year. And then there are also store-specific sales that usually drive a lot of shopping for those specific retailers. I'm talking about things like the Sephora sale, Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, the Nordstrom Anniversary Sale, Bath & Body Works Candle Day. If you have a favorite retailer and you know that they usually have a big sale every year, that is a great one to think about forming a pitch around, and you want to pitch this a little in advance, like I said, so they have time to actually hire you for a partnership ahead of the sale. But even having these dates in your calendar will give you a big leg up. And I would also say that one thing I would definitely include in that pitch is any details that will show that you can get conversions from that content. So if you create an Instagram reel, but you say, I also want to include a little banner or a little promo about this in my email newsletter, the conversion on email marketing is much higher than it is on social media. So if you're being strategic and thinking about additional placements or ways to really drive conversions during that time, the brand will appreciate that even more. Now let's talk about a couple of bad times to pitch. The first instance that I would not recommend pitching brands is if you were just on one or are currently on a content break. Let me be the first to remind everybody here that taking breaks from content creation is not only okay, it is necessary in order to have a sustainable and long-term relationship with social media. I myself just took a 1-week break from Instagram and TikTok this past week, and not gonna lie, I feel amazing, which is probably good for me, maybe bad for business, but we'll talk about that in another video. However, if you were just on a content break that lasted more than a week or two, or you're currently on a content break, this might be a nice time to just network casually with brands, but it's probably not the right time to hit them with a full-fledged pitch. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, if the brand looks at your page and realizes it's been more than 2 weeks since you last posted posted anything and there's kind of crickets going on in your account, it's just not something that is giving the brand encouragement or reassurance that if they pay you to create content, that there will be people there excited and ready to watch that content or receive that content and engage with it. The second reason that you might want to wait if it's been more than 2 weeks since you've posted on your account is because sometimes when brands work with content creators, they will ask to see their metrics from the last 30 days. So you want to make sure that you have picked back up on your content creation and that you've been posting again consistently for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, let's call it, just to give you a bit of a buffer. Because if they ask for your 30-day analytics and you were just offline for 3 weeks, they're probably not going to be the best metrics you've ever had on your account. So wait until you have been in a good rhythm of uploading content at your usual cadence and build back that audience engagement and audience trust before reaching out to a brand partner, because it's just common sense. So that's my recommendation, to wait until you are back in your rhythm of posting your organic content and getting your audience engaged and having a good engagement rate and comments and DMs and saves before reaching out to a brand partner with a pitch. Another time that I would not recommend pitching brands is during the first quarter of the year. And there is really a reason behind this, which is that in Q1, most companies are looking at their budgets and what their plan is for the entirety of the year. And there's still a lot that they need to figure out in the first few weeks of the year. Also, if you are a content creator, you might know that Q1 is typically a slower time for brand partnerships for content creators, unless, of course, you are a fitness or productivity content creator, something that really starts to come to the top of everyone's minds at the start of the new year. But I would say in general, my biggest quarter for brand partnerships is always Q4 because of the push for holiday campaigns and holiday content. And that maybe during Q2 is another time when I see more brand partnerships coming in, especially once things kind of get moving and then as we head into the summer months. But usually Q1 is a slow time of the year because everyone's still just trying to figure out their year. They're trying to figure out what's the vibe, how much money do we even have to pay influencers all throughout the year, and how are we going to distribute that money quarterly, and then from there they'll figure out how are we going to distribute that money across campaigns and across content creators. So give a little bit of time for brands to do their budget allocation for the year. I would probably wait until late February or early March if you really do want to pitch brands in the first quarter of the year. But again, there's nothing that says you can't be networking with brands during that time. I just think that brands are probably not going to be super prepared to receive a full-on pitch when they've just come back from New Year's and they're just trying to figure their life out. I do have one exception to that, although I think you'll have an indication of whether or not this applies to you pretty easily, which is if a brand that you worked with the previous year has indicated to you that they want to do some kind of long-term or year-long partnership with you the following year, which you will probably have a heads up about that during Q4 of the previous year. So if you need to have those conversations in January or February, I think you'll know going into them that that is a potential offer that's on the table. And another instance where I would probably hold off on sending out a brand pitch is during a time that you have low engagement. And I think that engagement has kind of dropped across the board over the years. Even me, as someone who wants to engage with other creators' content and be supportive and kind of give out all of that positivity, even I sometimes find myself scrolling and thinking to myself, that was a cute dress, Becky, but then not actually liking the video or commenting on it, because I think we are really just all generally fatigued with short form content because there is so much of it bombarding us at all times. But that aside, I wanted to just address that I think engagement has a lot across the board since 2018 or 2019 even. But if your engagement rate is currently below 2%, that is going to be a bit more of a hard sell for a brand, and you just want to make sure that you're kind of hitting the minimums and that you at least have some comments, some likes, some saves, and some DMs coming in for all of your posts that you feel like would be worthwhile, especially when a brand is hopefully paying you a very fair rate and a good rate based on your experience and the quality of your content to create sponsored posts. I will link an article down below with an explanation of how to calculate your engagement rate, but I do feel like 2% is kind of industry standard, at least for micro and mid-tier influencers. It's just a way to show brands that people are there, they are engaging with your content, and that there is an audience on the receiving end of whatever photo or video content you're creating. If there is a brand that you really do want to work with and you find yourself kind of in a lull in terms of your engagement, you can always pitch them on creating content for their platforms, which we're calling UGC now. I feel like UGC meant something different originally, but for purposes of staying consistent with the internet, I will call it UGC content too, which is basically user-generated content where you will create a piece of content or an asset for a brand that they will post on their channels or they will use to run an ad for their website that you don't end up actually posting on your own platform. And this could be a great option for any content creators who produce high-quality content, meet deadlines, are a joy to work with, but just are struggling a little bit with their engagement, which I think a lot of us can say that we are across the board because there is so much more competition in this industry than there was a few years ago. I think that's a great way to still get paid to create content for brands and also not have the pressure of measuring analytics on your own page or having a brand be disappointed in content performance when they're not going to be disappointed in the content performance of your UGC content if they are putting money behind it and running it as an ad. Definitely leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of this video topic and if I should create more videos like this. And as a reminder, you can all grab your free copy of Before You Pitch, your mini guide to approaching brands with confidence, from the link down below in the description box. I'm really proud of this mini guide and I think you are going to love it. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That's one of the best free ways you can support me and let YouTube know you like what you just saw. You can also give me a thumbs up down below, leave me a comment, say hi, all the things. And if you've watched this video and you're feeling ready to write a great pitch email, be sure to check out the up next recommendation on the screen for exactly what you can include in your note. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.